Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo, and welcome back to the channel. Make sure you're hitting that like, comment, and subscribe button. Most importantly, turn on those notifications. That way you guys get notified when we drop hits like this. This episode, Joel and I are breaking down the 89th Master Tournament at Augusta. The Heat are struggling to certify their spot in the play-in tournament. The Panthers really need a dub after losing 5 straight. And we give a shout out to the national champions, Florida Gators. And we're back. Masters coming up.
Yeah.
Golf tournament coming
What makes
up.
you say that, man?
You know why though? Because we talk about it privately. You know, the boys talk about it in the chat and shit. So this is, for me, like, this is the one that everybody wants to win. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, obviously winning a major is impressive and historic, right? But your idea as a professional golfer should be win as much as you can, right? Not just the big ones. So that's why I think, like, the highest level, right? Because now everybody's involved, LIV and PGA. The most, again, prestigious course that we have in the States, right? Probably in the Masters tournament over there in Augusta. For me, I just think it's the biggest thing that could happen to golf at a time where there is such a amount of eyes on it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like everybody's into golf, dog. You know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, some people even turn their backyards into golf courses, you know. Some people are just that addicted. That'll do that to you, man. When you get bit by the golf bug, that'll happen to you.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, absolutely. Augusta, this is the Masters. This is the start of the majors in golf. This is an exciting time, bro. You know, it's spring. You can already hear Jim Nance. Hello, friends. You know, you can already hear that happening.
Just even the graphics that they use, right?
Yeah,
Like, they look so
everything,
clean.
like the fonts, the graphics,
bro.
like all the things that they do on the course, like that is all in the
Yes.
background on TV.
It's wild.
Yeah, I'm excited. Are you excited?
I am, bro, because, you know, for me, again, I think, and I don't know that much about golf, so bear with me, but
You know. Don't be acting coy.
my whole thing is like, okay, you have the best of the best in golf right now coming into this tournament. That's obviously something that they want to win. You have a world #1 golfer who's not really playing like a world #1 golfer, right? Hasn't really won yet in 2025. So what level is he bringing to this tournament this weekend, right?
Sure.
You got guys chasing it like Rory, you know. He's already won a couple of times this year on the tour. He probably feels like he's building up momentum to win this tournament that has eluded him for 17 years, right? And complete his career Grand Slam. Like, that's major, dog.
And he's also dealing with the drought that he might break Tiger's drought between majors.
Yep.
I think between the last one he won in 09 and the one that he had in 2019 or whatever. Yeah. I think he's approaching that, and it's going to be longer if he doesn't win the Masters. So he has a lot riding on that. And you got guys like Jordan Spieth, who, you know, he won early and often, and, you know, when he first came on, won the Masters in 2015. It's the 10-year anniversary of that. Can he do it again?
Oof.
You know, and then, like you said, the LIV guys, you know, there's a couple LIV guys that it's like we don't really get to see them play against the rest of the field until the majors. This is the first major of the season. So what is Brooks Koepka going to do? What is Bryson DeChambeau going to do? You know?
And those guys have delivered.
What is John Rahm going to do? Former Masters winner. Won it a couple years ago.
Even though I feel like his consistency has been just a tad bit off, right?
All of those guys I mentioned.
But I feel like
minus Bryson maybe.
But when it comes to showing up in those major events, right? When it comes to showing up in those major events, Brooks has shown up, won. We saw Bryson show up, win, you know, and those were obviously tough conditions, amazing shots that those guys hit, you know, to get themselves on a bird look or something like that, or even par out for 18, right? And
get up and down out of a bunker,
you know,
like Bryson.
Come on, it's a hard thing to do, and all of those guys have proven that they can do it on the biggest stage. Now comes this, you know, here comes this tournament, right? And obviously this is the one that again, golfers want to win because of the prestige behind it, right? They give you the green jacket. You're now a champion. You're a forever member.
That post that you sent me was pretty dope, breaking down all the things that you. I just thought it was the champions dinner and the jacket, but there's a ton of stuff that you get for winning the Masters.
Bro, a coin. You get an actual replica of the trophy. You know, like obviously smaller, but they engrave it for you. You got access to the PGA for 5 years, right?
Yep.
Automatically.
Masters or major
You're
exemption
in major
for
now.
5
You're
years.
in every major. Like there's a lot of things that come with winning that tournament that really,
You get to play Augusta the Sunday before with somebody.
for sure, super cool things. But what I'm saying is like when you win this one, right? You're really setting yourself up as an established golfer because now the incomes, become a lot easier to achieve because now you know that you solidified winning one tournament, which comes with a huge purse always, right? But beyond that,
Thanks to Liv.
yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, shout out to Liv for that, right? But beyond that, you also get the marketing behind it, right? Now you're a champion. Now your advertising dollars go up. Now you're getting more contracts from your sponsors, Reebok, Nike, Adidas, all these people who are trying to be the cream of the creme or the creme of the creme, when it comes to who is providing the people, right, or the vibes in golf. And a lot of those guys have individual swag. Brooks, Rahm, Rory, even Scotty, to bring it full circle and bring it back to Scotty. We know that when this guy's on fire, he's able to compete with anybody, anywhere, and really put the pressure 4 days out of the week,
Yeah,
Not just show up Saturday, Sunday.
Right. But it's just weird, like you said, he hasn't won anything this year. He's gotten kind of close, but even still, he hasn't really. Like, he hasn't even gotten, like, a second place this year, so it's like...
Well, yeah, he got second place where Min Woo won.
Sure, yeah. But besides that, he hasn't really done much this year. A couple of top tens, but once you're world number one, like you said, it's a certain standard. So you gotta come with it, and maybe this is it. Maybe this is the start of it for him. Maybe he wins the Masters and starts the streak this year. Of a couple more wins to add to his resume. Obviously, he's the outright favorite, right? For this week. Rory, I think, is like the second one right behind him. I think there's a lot of money on Rory. A lot of people are high on Rory this week.
How do you feel about him?
I'm a little mixed, man. I'm not really a Rory guy, so for me, I root for the feat, which is the career Grand Slam.
Right.
That's really cool. To see somebody do that. Rory, what he means to the game of golf, what he does for the game of golf. You know what I mean? As a spokesperson, as an ambassador.
That, right?
What's that?
There's only been 11 guys that do it, right? Or
I think so. It's only a handful of guys.
Wow.
And so, the fact that he's had the career that he's had where he's one of the best, if not the best player in the game at certain given points, time. But he hasn't really been able to get the major monkey off his back, and win another one.
And he's been close.
Yeah, and he wins other tournaments. He wins at Pebble, and he wins at TBC or whatever. Excuse me, but he hasn't been able to win the Masters and get that, and he hasn't been able to win another major in a long time. Yeah. So, like for a player of his caliber, like I'm sure that's the expectation. It's no longer just making cuts. It's no longer winning regular tournaments. It's I need to win majors. So there's something about the pressure that he puts on himself, and I think that if he comes out Thursday hot, I think he's going to do better because he usually comes out a little slow and then he kind of picks it up and then backdoors a top 10 or something like that Saturday, Sunday. But
to win this tournament,
for me, it's not somebody like if he starts to fall apart. So
yeah, it's a wrap.
I'm just going to be like, I kind of saw that coming. You know what I mean? I can kind of see that coming because like he kind of does it to himself, and then he'll find a way to still make the cut and then play, not great, and then do something to be like, oh yeah, there's Rory again, but like not enough to win the Masters. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. But if he goes on and wins it, by all means, man, that's a great storyline right there. Like, congrats to you. You got the career Grand Slam finally.
Yeah.
But, every year until he does it, it's going to be the same storyline.
Yeah. And that's something that Tiger, I think, messed up for everybody who's a professional golfer at an elite level, right? Like the standard that him and Jack and all those guys that are legends in the game set. It's hard for those guys to do that because not everybody can go out there and win 3 majors in a year. You know, 2 majors in a year. Tiger would do that every now and then. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, well, Tiger has the Tiger Slam.
Yeah.
He lost the Masters. I believe that's how the run started.
Yep.
He lost the Masters, won the next 3 majors, the PGA Championship, the Open, the U.S. Open, and then the following year to start the season, he won the Masters.
Yeah.
So he was at that point, he was holding all 4 of the major titles. It wasn't in the same calendar year, but he was
all
holding
linear.
He was holding all of them. He was at that moment the reigning champion for all 4 of them heading into the second major of that season. So that's incredible. So like, of course, that's Tiger shit right there. But still,
that's the
the
standard
club
now.
that is, hey, I won all 4 of the majors. There's only 4 of them that happen in a year, man. And there's how many great players that play the game of golf?
Yeah.
So, like, you do the math, dog. Like, the chances are very, very small. Like, even if you go out there and play great golf, like, somebody out there can play better golf than you, bro, and there goes your chance that year.
All it takes is a good day.
There's a lot, dog. There's a lot riding on this, bro. The history, bro. You know, I love it. Like, I've never been. You know, I want to. Well, obviously, that's our goal one day. But, you know, I'm going to try to make my own little taste of Augusta back here for Sunday, dog, for our watch party on Sunday.
Dope, man. It's gonna be dope, and
follow me, man. If you guys aren't following me, Miami Golf Pros,
yes.
hit me up on Instagram. I also got a
now.
YouTube channel too, so follow my channel.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be a great tournament because there's a lot of interesting storylines that they're gonna be able to market. You know, there are people who draw by the way that they play the game. You know, draw more attention to it. You talk about Rory; he's one of the long drivers on the tour, consistently hitting 300 yards. Yeah. Bryson,
Bumps
you know, we know can hit freaking 375 yards easy, and that things just brings more attention to the game of golf, dog, and more attention to the big tournaments and what they should be looking out for as golf consumers, and they're totally getting it with this championship coming up, dog. I'm really excited for it, though.
I'm excited, bro. What else? What else are we looking forward to? There's a couple of first timers out there that are going out there this year. Some guys missing. I wish Luke Clanton was playing in it this year, bro. He's one of the best amateurs out there right now. I don't know, why Augusta didn't give him an invitation. But
earned it, Papo.
I guess he'll be there soon enough. But it would have been nice to see him out there, like just to see him compete starting in this major, because he's going to be on tour later this season, playing in tour events again and shit. So I'd like to see the Hialeah kid out there. Shout out.
Maybe I'm crazy, but if I'm golf, right, I want all these guys that are known, let's say, as YouTube golfers, guys who are showing up on podcasts, playing off-brand golf and doing other things on social media. If those guys start to play well that tournament, that's just going to bring so much attention to the tournament. And in my eyes, that makes it a little bit easier or maybe harder, right, to go out there and perform and play well. Who's going to be able to do that? There's a lot of guys that I expect to play well, right? Min Woo, I expect him to play well. Matsuyama, right? I expect that guy to go out there and play well on that course because he's been there.
He's won there.
And he's won there. So
one of the best performances
ever
I've seen in a while.
So you have guys that are shooting, not necessarily saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go out and try to win this tournament." They're gonna say, "I'm gonna try to keep myself in the top 10, top 20, top 15 throughout this weekend, and try to go for it on Saturday. See where I land. Go for it on Sunday and see where I'm at." And there's guys who are capable of just that light switch turning on and shooting the lights out there, dog.
There's a bunch of killers, dog. I got my FanDuel lineup set up.
So do I.
We did the Masters Fantasy. Did you jump in that?
No, I didn't.
That's a free one.
I know.
We're just good, but it's cool. Just if you have the app downloaded or not?
Nah.
Oh, you gotta have the Masters app downloaded, Papa.
I probably do have it.
If you don't, it's Masters season. You gotta re-download it, bro.
Yeah.
But bro, I'm excited. I'm excited for Sunday. You know what I mean? We're gonna have the squad out here. We're gonna have this set up right here as a viewing area for the Masters. We're gonna have some contests, some putting, some chipping contests.
So dope.
I got the taste of the Masters coming in, so we'll have for a limited time. There's gonna be some
Miami Golf, bro, so
some snacks and stuff that that you might be able to get at Augusta. So I'm super pumped, man. I can't wait for this weekend.
It's gonna be a vibe. I'm looking forward to it, bro. I appreciate you putting this on for the boys, dog.
I do what I can.
I'm sure they appreciate it too.
Yeah, I do what I can.
Let's see. It's gonna be fun. Check it out. If you've never checked out a golf tournament, this would be the one to watch.
Good start. It's definitely the best one of the year.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about the team that we hate talking about on the show this season, right?
Wow, we're gonna just switch gears abruptly like that. Let's do it. Rip it off. Rip it off.
Let's talk about the Miami Heat, right?
Yeah.
Because We witnessed them go through that, historic losing streak where they suffered, 10 plus, 10 games.
Right.
And then they follow it up with a 5 game winning streak,
Yeah.
locking their place, right, in the playing tournament,
And
but
then
not necessarily who they play, right? And when I look at this season, Joel, like I try to look back at it in perspective and say, all right, what was the goal here? What were we trying to accomplish? The answer cannot be. There's no way it was make the finals again, right? Because we didn't improve the team that much. We didn't really do anything to say, hey, this is what we're doing to try to make another championship run. I felt like it was more of let's see what we can do without Jimmy, right? Because we can't count on him throughout the season and see how that goes. And if it's equal to with Jimmy on the bench but or hurt, not playing, versus what we're doing right now and it's close to the same shit, we rather go with this and save the money. And ultimately, that's what it came down to.
sure.
But when you look at the current status of this team, it's like it's hard to figure out what's their purpose. What's their goal? What are the guys that they consider untouchable? What is their plan for the immediate future? Not 5 years from now, 3 years from now, because we don't know where the NBA landscape is going to be at that time. When we look at it right now, it's really hard to see like what the vision is. And I'm a Pat defender, but it still leaves us in that area where we're very grayish.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of
We make the
questions.
playing tournament again for the third straight year.
God, bro, I'm tired of this shit. So,
Imagine me.
and the fact that like when we did it the first time, we made it so far. It's like that was probably the worst that could have happened because it's like, hey, and sky's the limit. It's like, yeah, if you got the right team, bro. Like if you're plagued with injuries and then everybody comes back at the end and you make a run and you're in the play-in and now everybody's healthy.
Yeah.
We're not that team.
No.
We've had this team all year.
No.
They barely got by.
And we didn't do anything really, Joel, to improve the team.
No.
So it's no
absolutely
surprise
not.
to me that whether we had Jimmy on the team or not,
Right.
we still up in the same area where we're stuck in a playing tournament trying to get on a hot run and win some rounds. In my opinion, that's not Heat standard, right?
No.
And I don't think that the culture that they've built up would allow them to perform like that for multiple years in a row. And I think we're seeing the effects of that, having that happen multiple years in a row. Because now you look at this team and it's not to say that it's garbage, but it's missing things and it's missing a lot of good things, right? And at some point or another, you're gonna have to make a decision and say, who stays, who goes, how, do we blow it all up? What do we try to get back? Who are we looking to target? Who can we get? Those are things that I think are priority questions, number one, coming into the end of this season. Because, yeah, we made the playing tournament. Some people prefer to make the playoffs just to see the chance, right? The miracle run, cool. But I think that we saw the miracle run that we're ever going to see probably for this Heat franchise. And we were able to witness it. It was awesome. However, that doesn't mean that we were able to sustain that level year in, year out. We're at a position where we're in a crossroads, and we're going to have to make the right decision that really impacts the Heat's future in the immediate and obviously in the higher benefit.
So I know we just re-signed Hero and Bam, right? We gave them extensions or whatever, and I know there's some expiring contracts out there.
Mm-hmm. You got guys that are going to be on their last deal too.
Where's the fat that we trim for next year? Like where do we start?
For me, I think the easy way to point that out is to identify the guys that you're going to keep, right? And one of those guys, in my opinion, is Tyler Hero.
Right.
That's a guy that you look at and be like, bro, on any championship team, this kid will be gold, right? Because assuming you put good or better players around him, he's going to be one of the best players that can go out there and perform because he knows he's playing freely on the other end.
Right.
So that's a guy you got to keep, And I think you lock that in first. Now, if you ask me who else do we got to keep, in my mind, and I know this is controversial, number 2 has to be Khalil Will. Because that kid has been able to show that he can impact the way that we play on offense, right? And for Spo to give him the minutes, right? And have him play and him produce, double-digit scoring here and there, back-to-back nights where he'll put like 10, 15 points up, grabbing 10 rebounds, 8 rebounds a game. Those are things that is really hard to do as a rookie on a team that needs players to play well. And he's been playing well, you know.
What kind of deal is he on?
He's on a rookie contract.
So we're good there. We're keeping him no matter what.
That's why I say he's number 2.
Hero, same deal. He's locked in already.
He's number 1.
We're not trading him around.
Not
Where are we going 3?
That's where it gets tough. Right?
Really, man. This is interesting.
That's where it gets
I'm
tough.
very intrigued by your lack of jumping to Bam's side and
this
saying
is not a slight or disrespect to Bam, right? But at some point, we have to take a look at him and his production and what he provides versus what's out there, right? And you're gonna have to see it from outside the box. If you're the Miami Heat, you're gonna have to look at Bam from outside the box and see how the other team would view him, right? And what type of value that would bring you, what type of player that can swing you, right? Because at the end of the day, there's a reason why we signed these guys to, friendly contracts. It's obviously for our benefit, right? We pay them the money that they want up front, and we move forward from there for the next 3-4 years, right? But it also gives us that bargaining chip when it comes to making moves and bringing in talent. Because right now this team needs to be infused with talent, right? And I'm not saying that Bam doesn't have talent, but what I'm saying is that we need superstar talent. And right now, besides Hero, nobody else has shown that they have superstar talent, around that ability. Nobody has shown that. Now, what does that mean for Bam? In my opinion, he probably stays, right? Because the deal is friendly. And you really would have to use him as a bargaining chip to really get something back that would take us to that next level. Would you be okay doing it depending on who you get back? I think you unequivocally have to say yes. You have to say yes. Because at some point, you know that Bam's going to reach a ceiling. This isn't an offensive game. And we've seen him have the chances to dominate offensively, and he hasn't done it, This could have been a season where he averages 25 easily, 20, 22 easily throughout the season. But he hasn't developed that offensive level of the game. He compensates for that on the defensive side, right? And what he's able to do on that. But I think that reaches its peak at some point. And like I said, you need to infuse this team with talent. And it doesn't mean defensive talent, right? Because there are guys that you can find that just provide defense and you can get at a much cheaper rate.
Sure.
I.e., Mitchell, Davion Mitchell is one of those guys that, he's on a friendly contract, not necessarily in the 30s, right, or nothing like that. But a guy who brings a lot defensively, right? Night in, night out, a guy you can depend on to guard multiple guard spots, right? And have him be accountable for the defense. Now, you're talking about the type of deal that we have him on and the type of money we pay him. Compare that to what we're paying Bam. Compare that to what we're paying Hero. Yeah, that's a bargain, and that's the going rate for stuff like that. And we have guys that are going to be on the friendly deals, I think you just need to know what's your most tradable asset, right? And you have to set a point where this is the least that I'll take. But there has to be a way that we infuse this team with talent.
I think we got to just, in my opinion, blow it all up, man. Because if we're gonna do that logic and keep that, it's like you got to keep those guys. I think it's like Hero and Bam 1 and 2, and then we got to find that superstar that we can get to plug and play. I.e. Jimmy, with a couple other role players, like you said, guys that we can afford to kind of throw in there that we've had in the past. And then if not, blow it all up. We have them on friendly contracts. People are going to be willing to take those deals. These guys have a lot of skill, talent, depth. So let's get the most that we can for them, whether it's picks or whether it's players. You know what I mean? And then now let's restart, and we're going to try to develop the young talent guys. We're going to get the Jovic, the, Jaquez's, Wares. We're going to get those guys. Now you guys got to step it up. You got a whole season to assess where you are as a team. We're going to take an L, obviously, if we're going to try to rebuild everything. But it's for the long-term play of how do we compete in today's NBA.
But that's what I'm saying. I think a part of that has to do with, identifying that quicker than what we historically have done, right? We need to realize the maximum potential of that talent and say, will this person be able to transcend into superstardom? Because so far, none of the guys that we've gotten rid of in the last 4 or 5 years has turned into anything where you're like, God damn, I wish we still had this guy. There's none. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys have gone somewhere else and not performed to the same level that they were performing here. So, yeah, we need to find somebody, obviously, that's talented, that can score on command. And I think that we need to have a shorter leash on those guys, like you mentioned, the Jaques, the Jovic, because it makes no sense to have these guys for 4 or 5 years and be like, damn, this person didn't turn into it. I mean, we need to be ahead of the game because the way that the NBA is going is younger and younger.
Yeah.
So teams that have, really good records right now, you look at OKC, they got SGA. You look at, what John Moran is doing with Memphis. Like, these are guys who are leading the team. Jokic, like LeBron now.
Did I hear Jokic drop 60?
Yeah, 60-point triple-double. Get out of here.
Who do you keep up more with basketball than I do. Everybody that knows me well knows that I say the NBA is washed. But who do you got for MVP this year as
I
of
think
right
everybody's
now?
going to give it to SGA.
He's averaging over 30 a game.
Yeah, he's dominating, dog. He's dominating. Even when
But
he
do you
plays,
think that Jovic is just like the victim of like the recency bias that like he just won it, so it's like let's give it to somebody new kind of deal? Because like if you look at his numbers, it's like what that guy does for his team is incredible.
But what I think with him is that he's the workhorse, So
Right.
you depend on that guy. He's never gonna do it flashy. He's just gonna be able to put in the work. The problem is it doesn't stand out when you're not number one. It doesn't stand out when you're not number one in the Western Conference or the Eastern Conference. It doesn't stand out. That's why Jason Tatum gets a lot of love because they were at number one. So yeah, no problem.
Sure.
Donovan Mitchell right now getting mad praise and people are like, dog, how the hell did Cleveland even pull this guy, right? And he has him number
We should
one.
have had him.
Hey, we don't know if there was a chance or not. But those are the type of moves, right, that can transcend the team back into superstardom. That's what we were accustomed to being. That's why I feel like you have to be able to put things on the table, right, in order to say, all right, I'm willing to bet this to get something bigger. That's what we have to do right now. That's what it comes down to.
Oh,
And I think
man.
if there's one guy, again, out of everybody on the roster that you save, that you don't have like on a rookie contract or a cheap ass contract, the one person you save over everybody else is Tyler Hero. You're probably reluctant to that until the final end where they're like, hey, we're gonna give you this, and this, and this,
Right.
and this for Tyler Hero, and it's like, all right, fuck.
All right. Well, I know we'll do a more in-depth analysis on all this post-Heat season, but obviously
sucks.
we still got the play-in tournament. We still have the season to play. How many games do we got left?
There's 3 games left, including Wednesday night.
And who are we looking to face right now? What are the implications, if
It's
any?
either gonna be the Magic, the Bulls, or Hawks.
Magic, Bulls, or Hawks?
Yeah, and those are the 3 teams that we haven't really done well this year. Where we lost stupid games where we've been ahead for like 15, 12 points, and we blow it in the fourth quarter, some shit like that. When we
The one game that I went to was against the Hawks, and we dogged them
Yeah, that was one game.
right before the 11-game losing streak or whatever
Boom.
it was.
Boom. So yeah, we didn't really fare well against the Hawks this year, or the Magic. They've owned us, right? And we've battled with them back and forth a little bit. But yeah, this Heat team is not built for success right now, dog. So regardless of who we play, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, the Heat should be favored outright, and we're gonna dog these guys when we play them in the play-in. When that shit starts on Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm gonna be like, let's see what happens. Hope for the best. Don't embarrass us if we're playing at home.
Yeah.
And that's it. But I don't think that this team is a team that's built for success. Not right now.
No, I hear you.
Let's see where they end up, dog. They need all the help.
Yeah.
You know who else needs a lot of help?
Talk to me.
My boys, dog, the Panthers.
What's
Struggling.
going on, man? Not looking like our normal championship self.
Brother, when you lose 5 games on, in your last 5 games, 4 of them on the road, straight, that puts you in a bad place. And I think that this team has been a bit demoralized, right, in the losses that they've played well in. But, due to stupid mistakes here, one there, a penalty that they shouldn't have given up, and now they, get equalized or go up 1 off the power play. I think that the Panthers are struggling in finding that consistency to close out games. They still don't have Kachuk back. Ekblad got suspended for 20 games for PED. Like they're suffering when it comes to their leadership and who really drives the team. So it's hard for these guys to find that consistency because a lot of those guys have only been together 2-3 years. Most of these other guys that are guys we depend on have been studs or even in their third, fourth year with the team, fifth year with the team. They need to use this upcoming home break, right? Because they have, I think, 5 games left, and 4 of them are the last 4 are home, and then they're on the road to Tampa, right? They can use this 4-game streak here at home, right, and turn them into dubs and really position themselves better in the playoff seeding, right? Because they're not going to be able to win the division right now, right? Unless Toronto and Ottawa both are like completely trip out and lose every single game from here on out, and we win every single one, maybe. But if you're looking at realistic, they really have a chance to position themselves well where they don't have to go on the road. Because if the season ended today, they'd be heading it up to Tampa. And we know that that's a tough environment for us to play well in and win because we have such a historic battle with those guys, right?
And state rivalry.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I think that the Panthers are going to have to find some grit because they have all the things in place to be like, all right, let's win at home, right? And let's see what we can do to build some momentum heading into the playoffs. Because just like we were talking about with the Heat, that's not a team that we feel confident in finding some momentum to go into the playoffs. With the Panthers team, I feel a lot more confident, right, in saying like these guys are going to find a way to get some momentum heading into the playoffs, right?
Right.
Even with the limited roster, guys missing, people being hurt, they're going to find a way to fucking win a couple of games heading into the playoffs. So this 4-game homestand is big, man. And I think that if the Panthers can pull it off and win 4 straight, that means that they found their mojo, because that in their mind and on the ice, they'll be putting on performances that will indicate playoff atmosphere. Like, hey, this is the level we're going to need to play at in order to win in the playoffs, right? Because we know how hard that shit can be. But they've been struggling, dog. For the Panthers to have a 5 straight losing streak, that's unheard of.
Nah, especially at this time of year. We're usually already by this time of year, ramping up and getting, like you said, like every game already at this point is playoff atmosphere for us. You know what I mean? So it's strange to see that, but yeah, we are missing a couple guys, like you said. So now we just need the other guys to pick up the slack. Hopefully that they got pissed off enough that now they put that shit to an end and go off on a run here going into the playoffs.
And I expect them to win tonight, right? Because at the time we're recording, they're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs this evening. A team that's ahead of you in the division, a team that you can make up ground on by getting a win at home.
Yep.
Saying like, all right, look, we just beat a playoff team that we were facing in the second round in order to make the championship or in the championship. So yeah, you need to turn on that level of play. And I think that the Panthers have pieces in place that can do that, right? We have, not a lot of options when it comes to goalkeeping, but the one guy that we can confide in, Big Bob, has been able to prove himself over and over and over again to be a big game, big series goalie, right? So we have things in place that are going to lead us to be, to the right direction of having success in the playoffs. I think this 4-game homestand is where it's at. They need to win against Toronto and just keep that momentum and try to win all 5 games. And I think they can do it. Or at least win 4 straight at home. Because you're just coming off a losing streak. Like, the best way to get over that is, like, put a winning streak together.
Exactly. And it's not, like you said, like, with this team, it's not like the Heat, where it's like, we're going to just limp in there and we're going to get pounced. It's like, no, we're still in a good spot.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, and we are going to be able to compete. We know that this team has what it takes to play, playoff hockey. So it would just be nice to go into it with some, some confidence, dog. So
what will bring that confidence?
We need that. Some wins.
Yeah, some wins. And Matthew Tkachuk.
He's not.
That's the one thing that has me worried, right?
Him not coming back at all.
Yeah, or at least not being ready for the beginning of the playoffs, because that's what the intent was in the beginning when they put him out for the season. You need time on the ice, to gel. You need that. Yeah, sure. He knows the team, he knows the guys, he knows all these people.
That's his peoples.
But you need to be on the ice, right? So that's a big concern for me. Is he going to be able to come back, be healthy, sustain a playoff run, right? and avoid missing games and stuff like that, where it could ultimately cost us. Because he's such an X factor for his team, dog. You know, not only in scoring goals or setting up assists, the way he plays defense, the way he talks, you know, the way he defends his teammates, his IQ when it comes to passing and reading zones and intercepting passes. Like, this dude brings just elite level type shit to this team, you know. And without this guy, it's hard for us to win. So we need our main man back, you know.
Yeah,
We need
yeah.
him back.
We're definitely better off with him.
No, come
That's
on,
for sure.
come on, Matthew, good job, Baba. Certified All-Star, certified fucking champion.
That's right.
But yeah, the Panthers. Let's see, 4 straight home games, 4 straight dubs. Let's get it, and then we'll
Starts
worry
tonight,
about
baby.
Tampa later.
Hopefully, by the time you're listening to this, they already got the first one.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Let's do some honorable mentions. Basketball, the NCAA tournament is
Oh,
over.
bro.
What a great Final
How'd you
Four.
do on your bracket?
I didn't make a bracket.
No, you didn't get into it this year?
Nah, I didn't.
I got third place. Shout out to Jason. Jason won. So shout out to Jason for winning the bracket. I think Rob was second. And then I think I was third.
Nice.
Somewhere in that range. So,
Nice.
But it was fun. March Madness, all the favorites won this year, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
All the
And,
one seeds. It was a one against the one in the final.
fourth time. That was like the first time in like 3-4 years where every single team that was in the Final Four was a first seed. You know, and it was impressive because all four of those teams are really great, deserving of winning. But you're talking about a 1-game win, right?
Yeah.
Duke went out.
The Houston Duke game
Versus
was
Duke.
crazy. A little controversial ending there.
Yeah, but también, you know, they didn't take advantage. The number one player in the world or in college, Cooper Flag, you know, tried to take off a shot, didn't make it, and then second shot, like, that's a lot to win the game.
Yeah.
You know, and they had chances to play better. And Florida, you know, coming back, you know, and
Last night's game or 2 nights ago now.
yeah, you know, coming back against a really good Houston team, dog. Super impressive. Down double digits in the fucking second half. That's unheard of. Dog.
Yeah.
For college?
Yeah, no. They were a lot of people's favorites. A lot of people had them winning it all. One of the things that, you know, I kept hearing about them was just how deep they were. You know, and then they needed that for this. You know, they needed guys that were hungry and wanted to pick each other up. You know what I mean? And they proved that in that second half of that game.
Yeah, that's like an ultimate showmanship of like team. You know, because like it takes a real team to go out there, support the guys that are on the court, hit shots. You know, play defense, dive for a ball. That shit means a lot in the national championship, and the Gators overcame that, dog. It was nice to see.
Shout out to the Gators, man.
Shout out to all the Gators.
Hey,
man.
Florida, best basketball team in the country. Let's go.
Yeah, too bad they can't replicate that in football. Ayo. Yeah. Also, UFC 314.
Oh, shit.
314.
That's here, isn't it?
Here in Miami this weekend, bro.
Who's the headliner for that? Is that the Volkanovski fight?
versus Lopez. And it's for the
Diego, right?
Yeah, Diego Lopez, and it's for the featherweight championship. Because
God, I'm torn, man.
Topuria left the division to go to lightweight.
Go up a weight class. Oh man, I can't. All right, I'll go first. I want to know. I'm curious. I like Volk. I think Volk is sick, but ever since that picture was taken with him, Usman, and
all those dudes been knocked out.
And Izzy, like they've all been knocked out. Like I gotta go Lopez on this one, dog. What do you think?
I think that, bro, in the fight game, right, and especially in the UFC game, dog, once you get knocked out and it happens multiple times, it's really hard to come back after that, dog, because the body just builds a natural defense of saying, like, all right, when we get hit that hard, we're going to sleep, shut it down, you know, no matter what type of training you did, you know. So for Volk, having suffered 2 vicious KOs, dog, against a guy who has finished multiple opponents, both on the floor, you know, standing up, like, yeah, Diego Lopez is probably the winner in my book, dog.
All right.
Now, if it goes 5 rounds, that's probably because Volk outworked him,
Sure.
right? And I can see Volk doing that. But if Lopez catches him, I don't know if Volk's chin is the same, dog.
Yeah, no, man. I don't know. That's not a good run those guys have been on.
No.
I'm strictly basing it off of that meme.
No. Yeah, so I got Lopez winning that fight. And then the other fight, there's 2 more fights that I'm interested in. But the other fight that I'm really interested in is Paddy the Baddy versus Michael Chandler.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's a brawl right there.
That's a fucking fight. A fight. because Michael Chandler has been on an impressive win streak.
Yeah.
He's looking to get one last championship run. Patty, has been killing and multiplying his performances on every stage he's been on,
Yeah,
right?
he has.
So now he's at a level where he's like, I can beat a guy who's probably, considered a big time MMA guy, right? Because before he was in the UFC, he was also a championship in Pride. He was the champion in Pride or some shit like that. So yeah, it's different for that fight to beat a guy like that. And I think that Patty's looking to cement his place and be like, yo, I'm a top 5 guy. I need to fight for the belt by knocking this dude out.
I would think Patty's the favorite in this fight, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
But man, I would love to see what the underdog odds are for Chandler in this fight.
Right?
That might not be a terrible
pick
underdog to pick that night if you're looking for a good underdog, man. Because Chandler's the dog.
He's a big time dog, and bro, that's a tough guy to put away. So you're not just gonna, get rid of this guy with your first 2 punches that you land him on, So, but a win versus whoever wins this fight is gonna get extra credentials to say this is why I should be fighting for the title.
Michael Chandler plus 125, Patty minus 155.
You see, it's not wild.
It's not. It's closer than I thought.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
We got our respect on them, boys.
Yeah. So that's a big fight that I'm looking forward to. And that's it. I'm also seeing there's this group of guys. Shout out to Jesse called the Fighting Nerds, and it's like a group of 4 guys that fucking train together and shit like that. And one of the guys that's a part of that is John Silva. And I'm interested to see how he fights because he just took a fight in January and came out super clean. Was like, yeah, I'm fighting again. I'm down. Put me on that pay-per-view card, baby. I'm down. Hell yeah, dog. So I want to see if he's able to perform because he's a beast, and he's getting a chance to fight Bryce Mitchell in the lightweight division, featherweight, excuse me. And I think that if this dude wins, that's another guy who's like, yo, I should be in the top 5, top 10. Put me in line. John Silva. Yeah, because
he's fighting Bryce Mitchell?
Yeah.
I hope he wins that fight.
Yeah, me too. But again, this is a dude that's like been killing it, finishing opponents, getting out of fights cleanly. This is a guy who's, a somewhat of a USFC staple veteran, whatever.
Right.
You got to go get yourself accredited, dog, and beat a guy, on a big pay-per-view.
Let me see what the odds are on him. I think he's plus 200 or maybe the other way around.
Yeah, I would say John Silva is the favorite, no?
Minus 260 for John, plus 200 for Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah, come on, dog. So looking out there to put a performance on, dog, and get KO the night.
That would be great.
That would be dope. That would be dope. Yeah, so those are the 3 fights that I'm really interested in, man. And it should be a good weekend of sports as well.
Yeah.
F1 going down too, if you're into that.
This weekend?
Yeah, in Bahrain, I think.
Oh, I thought it was here.
No. It's coming up soon. We'll preview it.
For sure. For sure.
What we do, dog.
You got to keep me posted. This is how I found out about sports these days now. It's just here when we do this. That's why I'm like, yeah, I'm down to record. I'm down to get filled in on what's going on. The Gators won. Oh, shit.
Awesome.
I know the Masters is happening.
Oh, yeah. That you know, right?
That I'm aware of.
That you know. And I guess we'll tune into the rest of the shit as it happens, right? Once the playoffs start for the Panthers, for sure, right?
Yeah,
maybe not so much for the Heat.
We'll definitely do it.
But we know what you can do, right? Make sure you're hitting that like, comment, and subscribe button. Tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
To tell another friend.
To tell everybody they know.
To tell everybody know that it's Masters weekend. And they need to hit like, comment, and subscribe on Sports with SoSo. And go hit that like, comment, and subscribe button on Miami Golf Bros as well. So that you guys get tuned to all the cool shit that we'll be doing. Like throwing a massive party on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's your boy So. Peace.